Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Conversation Show powered by the Emerging India Forum, TEIF, and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Series is The Emerging Lawyer. Theme is Navigating Indirect Taxes, the Future of GST. We are at Pure Sin, the chocolate bar, and we have with us our guest speaker, Rushil Shah, a principal associate at Economic Laws Practice and a chartered accountant also. His expertise in tax planning, transaction structuring, and litigation support has made him a sought after advisor in the complex world of indirect taxation. So, friends, today we cover GST and many more things with Rushil. So, it will be an interesting conversation. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and a legal tech evangelist. So, welcome, Rushil, to today's Coffee Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and I look forward to this discussion.
Okay, so I just want to explain your format. There are 3 rounds. You must be aware of 2. So there is a surprise third round, the rapid fire round, and you get to win this ebook.
Wow.
So friends, let's begin. Yeah. So Rushil, my first question for your professional journey: what motivated you to specialize in indirect tax advisory and GST-related issues?
Right. So, as you know, I'm a CA turned into a lawyer, and my curriculum and the CA also required a lot of understanding of transactions, etc. And obviously, being a Gujarati, it's in our blood, to understand transactions. Okay, Gujus are basically known for that. So, my inclination towards tax, and particularly indirect tax and now GST, was as a result of having a good understanding and knack to understand these transactions, because GST, as we all know, is a very transaction specific law, and therefore what is important is to have a good understanding of transaction. So I think it was a natural choice for me rather than a well thought of choice. So that's how everything fell into place, I guess.
That's interesting to know. Yes, we good juice. What do you say? Well known for numbers.
Right.
So let's continue the conversation. Can you describe a particularly complex transaction where you have advice on how you navigated those challenges?
So I think there are various transactions, but I would talk about one particular transaction, and I'm at a liberty to talk about that because it's all in the public domain. So recently, these insurance companies, they faced a lot of agitation from the department, and a lot of inquiries and notices were being issued to these general insurance companies. And in all, if we saw, this entire liability of these insurance companies ran into more than 16,000 crores of only the tax demand. So the issue which was over here was pertaining to reinsurance services and co-insurance services, and the taxability of the premium in each case. So basically, while the amounts involved were so large, and there were also a number of consultants, involved in this, we some of the insurance companies are our clients, and they had approached us. So at various stages, we had to assist them. So one, at the advisory stage, where obviously at the advisory stage, normally you step into the shoes of giving a little conservative view as to you give them a word of caution that you take care of so and so things. Also, then as they were issued notices, then you had to show up and step into the shoes of a litigator. So at that point of time, giving them aggressive advices and giving them grounds and statement of defense as to you can take this argument, you can take that argument. So that particularly was very interesting. And obviously, considering the numbers involved, also, if the lot of other consultants involved, so it becomes all the more challenging, right? Because there are so many people advising, so you have to always be up to the mark.
Yes. Now let's go back to memory lane.
Right.
Your role as head of the GST department at Chandrakant and Sevanthi Lal, how did it help you shape in your career as a taxation lawyer?
Right. So, yes, my stint at Chandrakant and Sevanthi Lal, I would put it as that was the basic foundation for me. Right. That is where my foundation for GST and entering into the field of taxation, and also somehow getting into more of a legal route, because as a CA you have two options. You can go down the compliance route and your normal day in day out advisory, or you take a legal route where you get to do legal advisory, litigation, and all sorts of assignments. So basically, that's where I figure out that my inclination and my interest lies more on the litigation side and providing legal solutions. And obviously, at that point in time, GST law was just recently being introduced. So right from studying the model laws before the GST law was introduced and getting into the actual law that was implemented, so I had a threadbare analysis of the law from the inception itself, and rather before the law came into the picture. So by foundation was laid there, and I'm reaping the benefits of that even till date.
Wow. So that's good to know. So now, what are the roles and responsibilities of a tax lawyer?
Right. So, as tax lawyer, or for that matter, any lawyer, the roles and responsibilities. See, first and foremost, you have to do justice to the client. Right. Client is of utmost importance. So it becomes very necessary. It is your job to understand the client's needs and understand the actual scenario. So at times, what happens? See, the client, they do not have wherewithal to know all the legal provisions and all. So they might explain an issue to you in a certain manner, but there might be several aspects that are missing. So it is your responsibility to understand as to what is his exact needs, what are the facts involved in that, without which you'll not be able to help these clients. So I think your responsibility lies in understanding what are the client's needs and then giving them the correct advice so as to be able to guide them in the right direction.
Wow. So now let's go to your role for litigation. So can you share some insights into your approach to indirect tax litigation and litigation support?
Right. So I think, as I mentioned, indirect tax is again a transaction-based tax. Okay, particularly GST. It has to do a lot with each and every transaction. There might be certain implications, and also if you see, there are so many judgments that have been delivered under the indirect tax regime, be it the old service tax excise regime and now the GST. So it becomes very important whenever you approach a case to understand the facts of the case, right?
Yep, yep.
So what happens a lot of times, there might be a perception, that there is this judgment on this issue, but your facts might be altogether different. There might be a very thin line of difference. So it becomes very important to understand what are the facts involved. And once you get an understanding of your facts, I think half the job is done over there. Thereafter, you apply your legal analysis and legal interpretations to that. So I think the utmost and the foremost important thing is to get a very good understanding of facts and differentiate it from the facts of other cases which might not be in your favor.
Wow, perfectly explained. So, Rushil, how do you approach tax planning and transaction structuring for multinational corporation across various sectors?
Right. So now, when we deal with multinational corporations, it becomes particularly tricky because the laws, the manner in which they are implemented in India, they might be a little different as to what they have experienced in their own jurisdictions. So they might come with a certain set of expectations. So what becomes very important when you're dealing with a multinational client is at the inception itself, you set the expectations right, correct? If something is going to take, say, a month, so you tell them that it's going to take a month. So, or if something is not possible in the Indian context, you tell them, see, right, this so and so is the law and these are the procedures, it will become difficult to implement this. So basically set the expectations right, and even if it is difficult, get into those difficult conversations, give them the correct picture, and thereafter find a solution, right? So I think that's how you should handle a MNC, because they come with a different
Yeah,
expectation
yeah.
at times.
So now let's come to Indian companies. How's experience been working with finance heads?
Right. So I think Indian companies again. So all of us, all Indians, basically, we are anyways see used to jugaad also. Like the Indian
Yeah.
mentality is to find easier way to do things.
Yes.
So sometimes, as a legal professional, and particularly when a notice has been issued to the client, they might have, so as to say, had done some jugaad, which might have been a temporary solution and correct at that point in time.
Yeah.
So at times it becomes difficult to go through that corrective measure. But let me tell you, like, be it a finance head, be it a tax head, people are so well versed, and the level of knowledge they have, not only from the perspective of the field they're handling, but they know all the surrounding implications also. So they're very easy to interact with. They connect with us, and they understand where you are coming from.
Wow. So now, Rushil, what are some key trends according to you see in the GST landscape in India?
Right. So, as we all know, we are 7 years down into GST, but the GST law is still evolving. Now, the government's vision is to do ease of doing business in India. They want to promote digital India. Correct. So, a lot of focus you will see of the government will be to digitize most of the transactions, to digitize most of the compliances. As also, along with that, you need to provide ease of doing business. So if you'll see in the past or even recently, so many clarifications are being issued by the government, so many compliances are being simplified. Now, why are these clarifications required? To bring about a standard approach, and that is also part of ease of doing business. So, there is clarity among the industry. Apart from this, I also see in India, there are about 4 to 5 GST rates. But if you compare that with GST implemented in other jurisdictions, they either have a single rate or only two rates. One a normal rate, another special rate for necessities and thrust sectors. So India also, I see a lot of rate rationalization happening, and eventually I believe that even India will go down to a place where we'll have only two rates, one being the 18% for your normal supplies and 5% for your necessities or your agricultural related supplies.
Wow. So now let's go to the other side of litigation, of dealing with the GST department, the GST officials.
Right.
How the experience been?
Yes, the experience is a mix of both. It's a bittersweet relationship that advocates share with departmental authorities. So now, see, they also come from a certain understanding, right? Now, what is their object? Their object is to raise as much demand as
Yes.
possible and to collect as much revenue as possible for the government. So they will attempt to do that. At times, they might seem to be unreasonable, but from what I have seen, if you sit down with them, you explain to them that, look, this is my transaction, this is my transaction structure, these are the relevant provisions, and applying so and so provisions, what the stand that the client or the assessee has adopted is correct. So I think they are even happy to understand that. But at times, we all know, you face difficulties with a certain officer and all. Obviously, then you have the courts and everything, so you take it forward. But our attempt is, like, what we have seen is that even they are open to understand, but I might put it this way: they have their own challenges
Yeah.
which they need to meet. So therefore, we'll always share a bittersweet relationship with them.
Nicely put, nicely put. Okay. So, Rushil, what skills do you consider essential for someone aspiring to excel in indirect taxation and GST advisory?
Right. I think I'll come back to that. That if you need to excel in indirect tax, particularly GST, you need to have a very good understanding of the transactions, of the facts involved, and a good ability to differentiate between two similar looking transactions. And in fact, particularly in GST, while it is a single tax on goods and services, at times the line between distinguishing between as to what is a good, what is a service itself is so thin. So I think first and foremost, you need to simplify things rather than complicating it and reading too much into the law. Simplify it, understand as to what is the transaction, what is the reason behind introducing those provisions, and why am I doing this transaction. I think you'll find your answer over there. So first and foremost, get a very good understanding of the transaction and go down to the very depth of the foundation of the transaction itself.
Okay. After the introduction of GST, Rushil, how was the business, the finance department, the tax department, and overall impact of GST on business?
Right.
I'm just asking this question because you have been dealing with GST, and this
Absolutely.
is 7 years implementation in India,
Right.
while in other countries it must be more than decade or whatever. So how has businesses adopted to GST, and how has business uh, have grown with
Correct.
GST?
So I would say, see, there is no single answer to this, because before GST there was a separate tax on goods, separate tax on manufacture, and a separate tax on services. Now in GST, all of them came together. Now, if you compare this with a service provider, before GST was required to have only one single registration and one compliance throughout India. With GST coming in, a service provider who has pan India presence is required to take registration in all the locations, or rather all the states from where he's operating, and undertake compliances at all the states. So if I look at it from a service provider's point of view, obviously the compliance has increased, but the good part about it is, uh, now he gets to use certain credits even on goods,
Yes,
which was
yes,
earlier not
yes,
available.
yes.
So my cost, the tax cost that was coming on goods, which was not earlier available to me, that I can use it while providing services. Now if I look at it from the perspective of a trader in goods or a manufacturer, they were any case, because VAT laws were state specific, they were, from a compliance point of view, in fact, all the compliance are merged into one for them. So it became simpler for them. So I see they've benefited largely on compliances coming into one single GST return in all states. And otherwise, obviously, even the benefit of credit is available to them as well. So I think all in all, if you look at the larger picture, I think we are in the right direction. GST has benefited the trade at large.
Yes, yes. One, the government has brought in one uniformity
Correct.
compliances have been decentralized, many things.
Correct.
Profit has increased, credits are there in both. So there are numerous
Absolutely.
benefits have
Absolutely.
been, and uh, work has increased for law firms across sectors also.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
and
because
also if you look at it from the government's intention of inviting foreign investments and also, if you have one simplified structure, you say, okay, look, you have to comply with one law and not so many
yes,
laws. So it becomes, as a an encouraging factor for MNCs also to come and invest into India.
yes, that is there. So now, how has technology helped you, and which legal tech tool has impacted your work?
Right. Okay. So as we see, the technology is moving so fast these days, particularly with the entire AI wave and your chat GPTs and all coming in. While technology can help us in great way, but if you ask me, I have not unlocked the full potential as to how I can use technology. As a lawyer, largely where I am using tech is in doing our legal research. There are so many legal databases available right now that everything, that no sooner a order comes out, within a matter of 2 3 days that order is uploaded. So I am taking benefit only to that extent. But now with AI and GPTs coming in, I think a lot of efforts that we put, while I'm not saying that tech will replace your human intelligence, but it is definitely there to assist you, particularly the efforts that we put into drafting. For example, if I'm to use a AI software for drafting, and if I can deliver my drafts quicker and of a much better quality, then I think we should make use of it and start unlocking that potential, which I'm yet to do, but obviously I'm open to doing that and look forward to unlocking
Wow,
that
wow,
potential.
that was interesting. Now we go to knowing Rushil as a person. So tell us something about your family and your formative years, Rushil.
Right. So about my family, I live with my parents. I'm married, and I have a boy who is almost turning 1 year now. My
Congratulations.
father is a practicing chartered accountant, mother is a homemaker, and my wife is also a CA, and she's working in the financial planning team of one of the telecom companies. So that's about my family. Right.
Okay, so let's go to your college days
Right.
at Narsimhanji College. How was the experience and what actions you did over there?
Okay. So college days again, obviously, who does not miss them? But particularly for me and most of us at Narsi Monji. So Narsi Monji College is also known as a factory of CAs. So all
Yeah.
of us were struggling to cope up with our studies for CA, attending CA classes, doing our articleship, and on top of that, having that mandatory attendance in the college. While we all managed it, but what we now realize is that this entire journey, it inculcated a lot of discipline among us. It enabled us to handle multiple things at a time. And while at that point of time it might have appeared to be too taxing, but again now if you go to see, it has made you able to do multiple things at a time, manage your time better, and to handle that kind of even a stressful environment, I might say.
Wow. So who's the biggest supporter in your family?
Oh, my biggest support, it has to be my mother and also my wife, because obviously, as you know, mothers will never see any fault in their child, right?
Yeah.
So even when I was at my lowest, it was my mother who would always pick me up and say, "Arey, no problem, you're still the best. You can do this and all." So I think for most of us, it would normally be mother who's your biggest supporter because she'll never see fault in her child.
Wow. So that is from a family side. Let's go to who's your mentor or who's influenced you from the world of indirect taxation.
Correct. So as we mentioned that I worked at Chandrakant and Sevantilal. So one of the partners over there, Mr. Pradeep Shah, has been my mentor, and actually he is the person. Maybe while I had a lot of information or a lot of data, but he taught me how to process that data information into data, right? So simple example of how to read the law. While we all read the law, it's simple English language and all, but how to actually go and interpret it, what are the things that go behind it, what apart from the law, what are the other things that you need to read, and the manner in which you should be advising your client. So I think that's what I've learned from him. Also the kind of discipline that needs to be inculcated while you are a professional and you have to do justice to your clients. So you have to be up to the mark all the time. You cannot be lax, right? You have to do justice to your clients. So these are the things that I've learned from him, and he himself was a very good example because he led from the front, and that is how he approached his work. So we observed him and we've learned a lot from him.
Wow. So how does a weekend look for you?
Oh, so weekend, yes. So like that way, is the work-life balance is good. Most of the weekends we are not working. Obviously, there are one-off weekends where you are required to work because of the deliverables and all coming in. But so weekends usually I prefer winding down. So most of the times, I'm spending time with my wife. And now since we have a baby boy, so I prefer giving as much time as possible to him, and also catching up on certain movies or certain web series that come across. So catching up on, so weekends are usually all about relaxing, and once in a while, go for a weekend getaway, travel, either around Mumbai, or if it's a longer weekend, then maybe go explore places.
Okay. So, what type of books or movies have inspired you the most?
Right. So I'll tell you this incident. While I was studying for my CA, there was this movie Rush which had come, and it was about Formula
Hmm.
One. Okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
so we went for that movie thinking that it would be like a racing movie, but by the time we were out of the movie, we came out so inspired. Now I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
While
Yes,
this
please.
is about Formula One, the movie entirely revolves around two individuals. One was James Hunt, who was a
Hmm.
Formula One driver, and Niki Lauda, who's a legend at Formula One itself. So they've shown basically two lifestyles. James Hunt, who is very talented, okay, but who sees life that he wants to enjoy life. So we see that in the movie he wins one world championship, and thereafter he sees that he has achieved everything in life, and thereafter he loses track of everything. And then in the end they've shown that he's riding on a cycle. He does not have shoes to wear, but he's still enjoying his life. So that was one lifestyle that was shown.
Hmm.
As opposed to that, there was Niki Lauda was very disciplined, and apart from being very talented, apart from being able to drive his car very well, he also had knowledge about all the surrounding things, like the engineering that goes into the car, the length of
Hmm.
the car. He was like so thorough, so detailed. He also met with an accident where he was almost burnt alive.
Hmm.
He made a comeback after that, and we all know what a legend he is today. So now it is your choice, right? What to choose, whether you want to go ahead, become a legend, or you just want to prove yourself once and then maybe just live your life and enjoy your life later on, but with adversities, or you go see yourself becoming a legend.
Wow.
So the choice is yours.
Yes, both the actors are, what do you say, legendary actors,
Right.
and the series, what do you say, profound impact. Each movie has something else to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. So now, uh, what's one thing people would be surprised to know about you, Rushil?
Okay. So I think people who do not know me much, they'll be surprised to know that I neither wanted to be a CA, neither wanted to be an advocate. I always aspired to become a pilot. So that was my passion. But around that point in time, we had seen that the aviation industry was not doing good. And the moment when I was thinking about, entering or filling my forms, that's when like a lot of pilots were losing jobs, airlines were going out of business. So then the next best option, or maybe because I come from a family of professionals, that was to do CA, because my father is also practicing CA, and then everything started falling into place. And now I do not regret that decision because I'm enjoying my work.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So now, describe Rushil in one line.
Okay, so how do I put it in one line? Okay, so I think it's my ability to be calm and composed in most of the situations, having the never say no attitude, and trying to do justice to my clients, and obviously thereafter belief in contributing back or giving it back to the society. I think that's how we can maybe put it in one line.
Wow, perfectly. So let's have some fun. The rapid fire round.
Okay, right.
Uh, your favorite cuisine?
My favorite cuisine, I think it has to be Indian, because I like to have a filling meal, something that is satisfactory. And I think for me, it's like Indian food,
Which
any
one?
Indian food.
You're a Gujarati, so which one?
I'm a Gujarati, so being a Guju, it's natural. I'm a foodie, so all kind of food, like you give it to me, I'll eat. But like, right, your normal roti, sabzi, dal, chawal is the staple food is what I prefer. Otherwise,
Okay. Your favorite web series?
my favorite web series. Oh, uh, I think I prefer light-hearted shows. So it has to be your Schitt's Creek, Friends, and Modern Family, which I'm almost completing right now,
Okay.
because they're like smaller episodes, and like after a hard day of work, it's good to wind down and relax a bit. So
Okay. Your favorite travel place?
favorite travel place. Oh, okay, that's a difficult one, but I think I've been to New Zealand. So far, out of the places I've visited, it's very beautiful. Like It
Yeah.
has come all sorts of natural beauties and all terrains. So that has to be my favorite place.
Okay. You're a morning person or night owl?
I'm a morning person. I cannot stay up until late night.
Okay.
So when I'm out with friends and everyone is staying up till night, I'm the one who's first to sleep always.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Okay, let's get to best piece of advice you've ever received.
Best piece of advice again comes from my mentor. So the lines that mind and parachute work only when they're open.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been implementing it till date. And being professionals, you have to be open-minded to find new solutions, etc. So until and unless you keep your mind open, you'll not be able to come up with the best solutions.
Perfect, perfect. Your favorite color?
Blue.
Wow. So you did well. So you win this
Thank you so much.
ebook. I'm an author of 15 ebooks.
Wow.
It has been autographed, shaping the Gen Z lawyer for future.
Oh wow, thank you. I'm sure it'll be a good read.
So, friends, it was a lovely conversation with Rushil Shah, who wanted to be a pilot, but now he's practicing GST, indirect taxation, and litigation support. So, friends, he has achieved a lot, and I'm sure he has chosen the right field. Fathers of the CA, but didn't copy him and entered into indirect taxation, that is GST law, consulting, litigation. So this is the episode where you're going to learn about GST indirect taxation laws. Watch this episode when it's published on our YouTube channel, the Coffee Conversation Show. There are over 200 plus episodes with different subject experts, and it was a lovely conversation. So there's another festival coming up, Ganpati, Lord Ganesha's Ganesh Chaturthi. So happy Ganesh Chaturthi to our viewers in advance. So we meet with another speaker, another topic, another interesting journey to cover. Follow them, implement their whatever they are sharing, and see a remarkable change in your life. So enjoy your Sunday. Thank you.